let's see what we have inside. And two. As well as some Yonex VCore Spin G in red, 125 millimeter, and two leather grips, Tennis Warehouse private label. The first bag we have the brand new Yonex VCore Pro 97 number 1 and the second one. This one is the 330 gram. You'll have to take my word for it. There it is. First one, we've got the 330 gram HG, and the other one is the 310 gram G, both in grip size 4.5. Only because the flare on these grips tends to be a little bit smaller, although the grips on Yonex do tend to run pretty true to size. So let's get some specs on it. So 328 and 309. So for the 310 gram balance, we are exactly 12 points headlight. Around 31.4 centimeters. And for the 330 gram, just make sure we're lined up here, center line. We're also, I'm going to take a guess here, be very close. Yep, right at 12 points headlight. So we're right at spec with that balance and that weight, as far as I'm concerned, for these two rackets. That's pretty good stock quality control, in my opinion, from a major OEM manufacturer. Interestingly, it doesn't seem to be a Sony compatible. So this is a shot inside the butt cap. As you can see there's a small thin piece of plastic, but the handle is foam filled. Although the embossing on the butt cap is a bit different. It's actually got some texture to it this time around. It's a nice touch, but overall, again, high quality from Yonex. Good job. You don't see any of the aerofin technology that they have on the SV. We've got 8 mains through the throat. So this will be a string from the hoop first on the mains, and as you can see, Yonex's normal knurling of their grommets. No shared holes on this one, so that's a good thing. It's a 16 by 19 string pattern. Recommended tension range is not written on the frame. That's interesting. I'll have to find it on the website. So both of the frames definitely high quality, very thin beamed. I think the specs on these are 21 millimeter, and they look like very much that. Overall, shape-wise, one thing to point out is the difference in the way the throat looks. And there's less of that indentation on the VCore Pro as opposed to the Dual G. Whereas if you look at the Tour G and the Dual G, you can see the same mold pattern, but not so the case for the Dual G. But otherwise, not too dissimilar. Overall, again, very impressed with the quality from Yonex. So getting into some of the modifications that I like to do for my rackets, I just prefer a leather grip. I like the way it feels. It adds some usable and practical weight to the racket at the tail end. I've always kind of gravitated back towards the Tennis Warehouse private label leather grips, only because the consistency is good and they offer the wider and thinner ones. So I believe the ones I have are 25 mil by 1300 mil. So that's width by length, and then 1.3 millimeter thickness. All right, so after leather grip install, on the balance we're up to right at 14, and we are at so with a leather grip we are exactly at 320, 14 points headlight, which is a perfect starting point. So for these two rackets, on the 310, I'll be doing something a little bit different. I'll be going with the Polytour Spin G in 16 light at 53 pounds in the mains, and Monogut ZX Pro at 17 gauge on the crosses, also at 53 pounds. For the heavier racket, my buddy has requested that I use FXP Tour in 16 gauge for the mains, and he also likes the ZX Pro 17 gauge in the crosses at 53 and 50 for his crosses. So we're done here with the VCore Pro. Again, it's strung up at Yonex Polytour Spin G in the mains and Monogut ZX in the crosses. I'm going to put some finishing touches here and give you a balance of weight. Actually, balance right now strung with strings. Alright, so on a strung basis, the racket's coming in at just over 10 points headlight. And at 337 grams strung. So I've got here my Yonex overgrip, and with these Yonex butt caps, there isn't a lot of flare. I don't know if you can see it in profile. With these Yonex butt caps, there isn't a lot of flare. Unfortunately, they're pretty straight. I do like a little bit of flare on my rackets, so I'll be doing the over wraps on the butt caps to sort of build up here a little bit on the base. I usually go 3 or 4 wraps around the butt of the racket. And last but not least, we've got some rubber bands. I think these are size 74. They weigh virtually nothing. Alright, and there you have it. We've got the VCore Pro 310 strung up with Polytor Spin G and Monogut ZX at 53 pounds. And this is as how I would take it into the court. As played numbers with dampener, overgrip, leather grip, and strings. The balance comes in at 11 points headlight. And final weight of 344 grams. So there you've got it, the VCore Pro, strung up with exactly the same specs as my current stick of choice, the SV98. Let's get them on the course and see how they play.